Welcome to Wine Wanderings. Here with me today are Heather Griffin and Brian Brakesman of Summit Lake Vineyards in beautiful Howell Mountain at the peak of Napa Valley. Welcome, Heather and Brian. So happy to have you with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So nice to meet you. As an introduction to readers, I understand that Summit Lake Winery on top of prestigious Howell Mountain above Napa Valley is currently celebrating its 50th anniversary. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited, and I think a little stunned that we've been here that long.
Well, we quite haven't been here that long. I'm only 45, and what are you, 47?
Yeah.
But yeah, Dad purchased our property in 1971. So yeah, we're celebrating 50 years as a family on the mountain.
I think I read some stories about them backpacking with you guys they were doing harvest, and one of you as a baby was in their backpack. Was that you, Heather?
I think that was probably me. I was usually strapped on a back, or we have actually quite a few pictures in the family photo album of us in big stock pots on the kitchen.
Oh,
or in the kitchen or out on the patio. Everybody just kind of stuck us somewhere we couldn't get out of and went about their business.
That's so fun. Well, this brother and sister team, Heather Griffin, who's the general manager, and Brian Brakesman, the winemaker, have joined the family winery with their father, Bob, who, along with their mom, founded Summit Lake in 1971. And the winery was one of the first on Howell Mountain, which subsequently has blossomed into the world's most highly regarded grape growing region, one of the best in the world. From there, Brian and Heather are producing wonderfully modern and world-class wines. So Heather and Brian, please tell our readers about what makes Howell Mountain location so special in Napa Valley and how it affects your wines.
I'll let you take that one from
Okay.
the winemaking standpoint. I think is always the best perspective.
You know, people often refer to terroir as the sum of all the parts, and Howell Mountain is a special place because of a multitude of things. We have a higher elevation, so our ranch is at 2,000 feet, which means we're above the fog in the valley floor. We have very special soils, so the soils here are Aiken clay. They have that red, volcanic, rocky, very high in mineral content, but actually very low in nutrients. So it actually stresses the vines and actually makes the fruit a little bit more intense. You know, and this is just a rustic growing area, if you will. I mean, we're surrounded by forest and just beautiful nature, and you know, really the fruit reflects that.
So can you tell our readers about your portfolio of wines and how you name them too? Is fairly interesting to me.
Yeah, we've got quite the lineup now, which is great. You know, we started, the property was actually originally planted with an Italian field blend of mostly Zinfandel. So the first couple of years that our folks were up here, they took that time to clear out the old vines. And then in 73, we planted an acre of Cabernet. And we did kind of a red wine blend until 92 that had our Summit Lake Zin label on it. And then in 1992, we decided that we were going to produce a label of 100% Cabernet out of those vines that were planted in the early 70s. And it kind of coincided with my first daughter and the first granddaughter of the family being born. So they named our Cabernet for Emily. And then we had a really interesting year in 96 with a very large second crop out in the vineyard in November. And we went through and picked about 3/4 of a ton maybe of Zinfandel and brought it into the winery with the intentions of making like a late harvest Zin. And then that turned into a port project, which was named for my second daughter, Claire.
Became popular very quickly.
Yeah. We ended up drinking half of the production before it even went into the bottle. And then we did a rosé for Brian's daughter Blythe in 2006, was our first vintage. And that also coincided with our first production of Petite Syrah that we had planted in 2001. And that one was named for the other niece, my other niece, Sophia. So we ended up with our traditional Howell Mountain Zin, and then wines named for
all the granddaughters in the family had a wine named after them. So then the grandsons finally caught wind and figured out that they didn't have a wine named after them. So my brother's son is Shane and my son is Benjamin. So we did a blend, if you will, of Zinfandel, Cabernet, and Petite Syrah. We call it the Brakesman Boys. So they got their wine named after them. So basically all of our wines are named after grandchildren except for the Zinfandel.
Well, right. You can't leave the boys out, can you? Well, listen,
Nope.
I know that you have a wine club and you also offer on-site tastings by appointment. What should our readers expect from both of these experiences?
You know, I think our wine club is something that we're very proud of. You know, it's funny. I think people are drawn to the area once they come up here and they like to spend a little time. Brian and I both host tastings up here, so you're always with a family member to host it. We typically go through about 5 different wines, so it's a pretty good lineup of what we do wine wise, and we spend an hour to 2 hours with each group that comes up. So they're all private tastings on the property with a family member. So it's a fun experience.
And wine club, I mean, we really appreciate the wine club members because they support us and we like to support them. So every single year we throw a wine club party it's free to all members. And we try to do as much farm to table for that party as we can. So we usually raise a pig, vegetables from the garden. Heather's husband does honey, so we do fresh honeycomb, and just throw an incredible party or appreciation for our wine club members.
It's a fun event.
That sounds amazing. So, Brian and Heather, tell our readers how you've come out of the pandemic lockdown, the fires, how you've pivoted in this time of your business.
It's been an interesting year. You know, we've gone through 2 major wildfires in the middle of the COVID epidemic last year. You know, with the fires, you know, we didn't have any physical damage on the property. It did burn up to all of our surrounding neighbors' properties and, you know, vineyards in the area.
We're looking out our back window right here and I could see where all the trees are burnt over one Zinfandel block of ours. So it came within 100 yards of our ranch. Yeah. Unfortunately, our fruit didn't survive. That was a big loss for us. But, you know, we have a strong wine club. You know, back to the wine club, from a business standpoint, they really helped support the business during COVID when we were actually able to see visitors. Yeah, so that was a big help.
I spent a lot of time on the phone talking to people, and, you know, you build a rapport and a friendship with a lot of, you know, the people that have been friends and family and mailing list with us for so long. And, you know, we had so many people that had called and, you know, they needed wine because they were stuck in their houses for, you know, months on end and just needed to drink. And we needed the business, and, you know, it really worked out. We gave some discounts and sent a lot of wine out. I think we're just about on par as far as wine sales go, simply because of our, you know, our support system with all of our friends and family.
It seems that is the case around the country. I was interviewed 2 different of the premier winemakers in Texas, one in Salina and one down in Fredericksburg. And actually one of them had a triple business last year because of everybody, you know, picking up or them shipping out wine. So some people came out better, some people came out even and expected it to be worse than that. So I'm glad to hear that your wine club was sustained you so well. So my last question, I have a question for you. I have 3 of your wines, Heather and Brian, and I'm hosting a dinner this weekend to sample your wines, which are the Petite Syrah, the Cabernet Sauvignon, and the Zinfandel. And I always conduct my tastings with at least one other som as a guest. So I have them so that we can compare and contrast. And I sample with food because I feel like red wine is so food friendly and is enhanced by the experience of eating while you're drinking red wine. So for those 3 wines, what do you recommend for food pairings?
Well, I definitely think, any charcuterie plate is going to go well with all 3 of those wines. Our wines are definitely built to be food friendly and consumer friendly. Any of those good salamis and those nice aged cheeses, old Goudas and the Zin especially. I think one of my favorite pairings for the Zinfandel is a good blue cheese with a little bit of honey on a sliced apple. Nice Granny Smith apple with blue cheese and honey is just absolutely stunning.
And being red wines, they do really well with, red sauces, any tomato-based sauce, spicy, Zinfandel, obviously it's a spicy wine. The Cabernet with, if you're barbecuing, but ribs, ribeye steak, I think red meat when I think of our Cabernet, obviously would do great with the Petit Syrah, but our wines up here are a little lower in alcohol and a little higher in acid. So they're intended to be food friendly wines. So yeah, I think you'll really enjoy them.
Well, I think we're in good shape because I am making a roast. So the Cabernet and the Petit Syrah will be great. And the salad has apples and blue cheese in it. So I think the Zin will be really good with that.
There you go. Yep. Little drizzle of olive oil and honey on your salad. You'll be set.
I know. That's all it needs.
Yep.
Anyway, Heather and Brian, thank you for being with me on Wine Wanderings. I look forward to visiting you in person in Napa Valley.
Yeah, definitely come and see us next time you're in the area. We'd love to have you up.
Will do.